at Mastek you are delivering IT solutions to business across the world, but what would you describe as your purpose?
So we did a formal definition of purpose a couple of years back where I was trying to really discover the purpose of the company. And in some way I found that it zeroed in on being a stand for people, individuals as well as institutions, being the best they can be. So how do I mean, it's not just working to one common standard, but each one of us has a unique potential, each organization has a unique potential. So how can we as IT people and as leaders facilitate and enable and empower people to actually unleash and live up to their full potential? I think that's about the purpose that we have arrived at. I'm sure it will keep evolving as we dig deeper into that. So I found that the only way of doing it is to live it. So you can keep talking about it, but people don't look at what you say, they look at what you do. If it is practiced by me, it's practiced by the next level, then it automatically cascades down. If we don't practice it, we only preach it, then it doesn't happen. So.
And have you always practiced that, or is that something you become a lot more aware of now?
So we've always practiced it in some way. As we redefined our values, we took what was in play, what was already practiced and actually formalized it in some form. But we also enhanced it to a level so that there is a stretch and we need to step up in terms of our own adoption of these values. I think the most important is for the senior management to let go. And that's tough because there is a level of almost conditioning that you have to run a particular way, you have to drive people, you have to give them instructions in some areas, otherwise things will go wrong. So for us to develop the faith that people will step up, they may make a few mistakes, but actually they're much brighter than we are and they'll find a better answer is the biggest shift. So for senior management and the middle management to let go and trust people below that they will step up is, I think, one very critical aspect of it.
When you say that one of the things that you had to do as management is to let go, can you explain what you mean by letting go?
I mean, if I don't do any reviews and allowing people to do, I give them outcomes rather than tasks and say, okay, now you take charge and you deliver. I'm not going to monitor you on a daily basis. But you told me when you have achieved something and I'll go by what you say. I would spend almost 13, 14 days a month in reviewing different business units, drilling down into what they're doing. I've stopped all that. In fact, I've got out of most of the executive committees and things, and I focus more on walking around and looking at how things are working within and then going and speaking to customers to see how do they experience the shift. So there's a huge amount of time which is released, and therefore it's a much easier, lighter job that I carry. I don't carry the burden for delivering to all our customers on a daily basis. So that's a big shift. If I look at people below, slowly there's recognizing. In fact, I was just speaking to a project team yesterday, on Monday in India, and they were saying earlier 100% of any issues that we had, we would actually send up to the people above, and they had to make the decision and then we would implement that. Today, slowly we are realizing all these we can handle on our own. So we have reached a level where 95% of issues which should have normally gone up, we make the decisions on our own. Only 5% which we think is critical, where we may not understand all the implications, we send up to the seniors. So there is a lot more action which is happening at the junior most level.
Are there any challenges that you have experienced or obstacles that you face going through this transition and also in everyday work life practicing it?
So the biggest bottleneck is actually the senior management and the middle management. It's never the doers on the ground, because they step up and they enjoy and they love stepping up. So for us to let go is the toughest transition. You can't take people who have been successful on a command and control mode and they've grown in the organization after 15 years of this and 20 years of this and suddenly say, now you're not evaluated on that, you're evaluated on the basis of how well you empower your team and how good a servant leader you are. It's a big churn for people. So that's the toughest change.
And what have you done to smooth that out, that transition?
You can't smooth that out. You can't smooth that out. So, and that's an area where if people don't change, then they are people who move out of the organization, because that's a very critical shift you want in people. You don't want the old command and control style to remain. So that's the toughest.
So that will also sometimes when you make that change also require that some people automatically let go because they can't exist in that system, and then you attract new people
Or
to that.
Not just new people, or you grow talent from within the company into following that.
Why do you think that more traditionalist thinking companies should actually embark on this journey?
I don't know if they should, but I would like them to. For the simple reason that today, if you see globally, the level of employee engagement is pretty low, 20-30% in the best of companies, which means we are taking very bright people who are all well paid, and we are getting just a very modest, mediocre result from them, when they can actually do far, far better. So how do we get the best out of our people? And how do we deliver superior value to the markets, to our customers? I think those are the two fundamental reasons why you become more conscious as a business, that you contribute more, you're far more relevant, you create a more excitement around you. So that's the reason.
What was your motivations to actually start this journey?
Our motivation actually was to step up, and we found that the values that we had and things, we were practicing but not wholeheartedly, that we needed to step up and declare it openly, so that it's almost like coming out of the closet in some way and saying that, okay, as a company, as employees, as customers, we're going to be different in the way we deal with people.
So you actually also coming out the closet is being more explicit with the employees and with customers too.
Correct.
How did you do that?
So we have annual customer conferences. So in last year's customer conference, we unveiled saying we are planning to do it. Half the customers felt, oh, this is too much of a change. Half said, oh, you'll be able to pull it off. But we said, anyway, we're going to make it happen. So this time again in the customer conference, we'll go back and get their feedback on how they see the change. So
some people would say probably that you have to be courageous to do that, because you go out and you promise your customers you're going to be better, so you better deliver on that too. Did you have any discussions or any doubts or uncertainties about going out?
I was very clear that. So as a CEO, I'm 100% clear that this needs to be done. So obviously down the line there would have been some people who were doubtful and so on, but when you remain steadfast, I think people fall in line.